Lance, what's up?
Rhett, oh my gosh. How you doing, brother?
Episode 34.
34. We're at 34, bro. And can we just get a good shout out today? I mean,
Yes.
I think we got a shout out for our brother.
R.O. Smith.
R.O. Smith is the man.
Yeah,
Like-
for those who don't know, we've run into some sound issues on occasion. And R.O. offered. I've known R.O. since 2002 when we started. He was at Bel Air Prez when I was there. He's a Fuller. Him and his wife are Fuller grads also. He offered, hey, I'll come on and just check your guys' sound and do some editing on the back end. So he's been helping us out with things. And him and Lance know each other now.
Yeah. It's so crazy. He and I had so many different friends from back in the day, like that interlock between both my visits at Fuller and then, he's at Point Loma Presbyterian Church. Or is it Point Loma Presbyterian?
Point Loma Prez now.
Yeah. And just a really great, I mean, how do you find such a solid guy like R.O. is what I want to know.
Him and Megan Eakin worked at the same camp in Michigan during their college years.
Yeah. So, full circle, guys.
Yeah. So he's been interested in RT. He's a pastor who's been listening to the RT stuff and he's gone down the rabbit hole. So shout out R.O.
Love you, R.O.
Also, if you are listening, whatever you're listening on, iTunes, Spotify, wherever, we appreciate it. And if you have a few moments, maybe go on and leave a nice 5-star comment, right, Lance?
Yeah. Or 4.5. I mean, I think there's always room for improvement.
Okay. That's all we got for now. So, where'd our guest go? I hope she pops back on here. We'll give her
Should we riff for a little bit?
Yeah, we'll just riff here until she pops back on.
Yeah, so tell me, I am not good in the podcast world. Like, I don't tell me why, having what the deal is with subscribers and all that. Like, what's the deal with that?
I mean, I've never.
It's not like we make money off of this thing.
No, and I've never actually asked anyone for any podcast that I've ever done to do that. But people say if you do leave a comment, it helps other people find you. It like the algorithm. Okay. So people are looking for certain things, the podcast, and we're not interested in numbers, but we are interested in spreading the word of how great RT is.
Dude, totally agree.
Totally agree. So besides that, I'm really looking here. I'm hoping our guest pops back on any second because she's awesome.
Yeah, dude, why don't you tell a story? I'll work on texting her right now. And
yeah.
See what's the flow?
Yeah, so this is what happens when you have some dead time in the podcast world. I'll tell a little story. So, and it's going to be an ongoing story. We are now a little over let me think. We're about 3 or 4 weeks after dropping my daughter off at college. And it's interesting how different guests we've had on and different people listening have been sending me pearls of wisdom about that whole experience of transitioning your kids into college and into other areas of life. So it's been great within the RT community to have people in different stages of life to come along and say, hey, we've been through this, or we're about to go through this, and here's some wisdom or some things that we've learned. And it's been super helpful. And it's also one of the things I shared in the podcast in terms of how RT has really influenced me was when we first stepped foot on my daughter's college, just as a visit, I had this feeling that this is an environment that promotes love and trust. And it just felt like a safe place. And so I've been thinking about that in other contexts a lot outside of college, just what communities, when you step into them, you have this sense of this is, man, a loving place. And this is a trustworthy place. And so that's been interesting, navigating that the last, I don't know, several weeks with the RT community.
Dude, it's so important to just have people in our lives that we are connected with. I think I think I always think about pastors and I think about therapists. Our jobs get so lonely so quick.
Yeah, they do.
Like we take that, when you have that place of confidentiality, or like where you're one way, like it gets really lonely really quick. And I think one of the things about RT dialogue for me is just to have a whole crew. I mean, I think that's probably the big reason why I have a whole therapy practice, is mainly so I can help my team. My team can help me with all my neuroses.
Yeah, looks like our guest is coming back in here. We'll I love this
We should
intro
do a
to
drum
the
roll.
podcast.
Wait for it.
It's,
Today
this is
we
just our
have.
oh
I see it. I saw the dots.
yes,
There she
back.
is. Yay.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
I can. Yes.
All right, Lance.
Cool.
Lance, I think you just got to do the intro now because everyone's wondering who this like mystery guest is.
Mystery guest. Guys, today we have no mystery at all. In the world of RT, if you have gone through Fuller at all in the past, I don't know, 15, 20 years, you probably have heard of a very amazing woman by the name of Migum. And help me with the last name. I've screwed up too many last names.
Gweon.
Yes.
Gweon. Yep.
All right. Gweon. Migum has been such a gift to the RT community. With she did the clinical practicum placements for a lot of people, and for us as like recruiting and finding good people, Migum's always been so wonderful with people. Whenever you say Migum's name with people, they instantly light up and like, "Oh, Migum!" So, Migum, I'm so glad you're here. She's a practicing therapist in Nevada right now, but she has primarily California cases, and she's got some interventions for us to work on today, guys. Yeah, we're excited.
So
Welcome,
excited
Migum.
to be here. Thank you. So excited to be here with both of you. Thank you.
You really put Lance and I through our podcasting host paces a second ago when you dropped off. We were like, oh, what happened?
I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened.
People were like, oh, great. I don't want to listen to a whole podcast of Rhett and Lance bantering about stuff. So excited to have you on for sure.
Which, does this happen in the therapy world? Like this is like the downside of online therapy. Like when things just go sideways, right? And you're
exactly.
like trying. Yeah. Technical difficulties are also pain cycle inducing.
They happen.
But we did good,
right.
I feel like.
And if people were at the summit, I think they experienced a really beautiful what was it? Would you call it a demonstration? Even though it wasn't really a demonstration, Migum. It was with you and Terry and Michael and you, Lance.
That's right.
Doing a therapeutic intervention that just like, I think had the whole room like captivated. Just really, I mean, between Migum's vulnerability and sharing her own story and stuff, and the work of all of you who were doing the intervention on the floor, it was like a really powerful moment. That sticks out to me as like a really like a highlight of that whole summit.
Wow.
She
was really brave.
It was amazing. I think, I'm sure it was supposed to be a demonstration, but I got free therapy from 3 of the best. And what's also really amazing, I mean, as I was walking away from that experience, I mean, just my heart was so full, and I like really received healing from all 3 of them. But what was really amazing was that with the same pain cycle, I was able to experience 3 completely different interventions and styles. And, I thought that was what was so great too.
That's exactly what I was hoping to do. When we talked about the live demonstration, I was like, I want to show that when people come in with a pain cycle, like, what would it be like? Let's show like the exact same, like we all have different personalities, different ways, different flows. let's show like how we can work through this with all of our like different personalities. And I really felt like that was on display.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is it really is it really ever a demonstration when like Terry's in the room? Does it ever not go like
No.
like real therapy?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Take my heart, baby.
Megan, tell us about, one things we're always interested in is like, how did people get to RT? Because we all come from, different roads, different pathways to get to this model that we love in this community. So if you don't mind, share with us, like, what's that journey has been like for you? How did you, how'd you come to RT, discover it, and what is it that you love about it?
Oh, my goodness. So I started my MFT journey at Fuller in the MFT program the same year that Terry and Sharon came to Fuller. So that was in 2008. So they came to Fuller, and so in class, Terry shared about the RT model. So I guess we were his first like guinea pigs on that front at Fuller. And then I think after I graduated, although I worked in counties, I worked at DMH, Department of Mental Health, but I knew that I always wanted to go into private practice later. And so I was trying to get skills and, start opening up my private practice on the side. And so that's when I sort of reviewed RT level 1, RT level 2, sort of got back into things at that point. Because you can't really, it's hard to use RT in the Department of Mental Health setting. So.
Yeah, I remember I used to work at the San Diego Vet Center, and I would literally I would be using CBT words in my notes. Alternative beliefs. So I would use all their language of CBT to like make it sound like it was that. But yeah,
so smart.
It's hard.
So smart. Yeah, so I did that, and I have oh my goodness, like level 2 training with Terry and Sharon. Just amazing. So that's sort of like how I got back into it, and then starting my private practice. Really focused on my work with couples. I found that that's my favorite thing, is working with couples. Love working with couples. So primarily use RT. I've told Terry this so many times, but I don't know what kind of therapist I would have become if RT didn't exist. Like, I cannot imagine using another modality. I can't imagine using anything other than RT. So whether I'm using RT with my couples or even with individual work, it's always a systemic thing anyway. And so I'm always bringing RT. It's my main roadmap. It's the way that I understand things. It guides my interventions. Yeah, everything. I love it. Yeah.
That's great.
There was a lot of people. I was just thinking, a lot of people kind of came around that same time, that 2008, right? When Terry was coming
on. So Mi Young Yoon Hammer, she also started.
Yeah.
Year.
Last week she was sharing that as well, like kind of coming around the same time. It seems like there's a lot of synergy around that group at the same time coming in.
Yeah. Were you in Andrew's cohort too?
Yes. Andrew last.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah. Andrew is my surf buddy. We surf every Monday together. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there something about art, like, I'm always curious if there was one aspect or one moment where you're like, yes, this is why I love RT. This is why everything clicks. This is why I'm going down this pathway.
For me, I think I am. How do I say this? So in couples therapy, in the class we learn RT, we learn EFT. There's and there are lots of other modalities. I think the reason why I gravitated towards RT is, first of all, I need things to just be very simple and I need things to make sense, you know? And I think for me, trying to like understand EFT, there were just too many steps. It was too much for me. Like, and it didn't click for me the way that RT does. Like, I mean, I joke and I say, you know, I just don't think I'm smart enough to do the EFT thing because there are too many steps. But I think probably a better way of saying that is I love the simplicity. Everything just sort of clicks and makes sense. And I love how RT speaks both to the emotional experience as well as sort of the logical, rational experience as well. And so that really clicks for me too. I think too, and Terry speaks of this too, I love how it presents like an equal opportunity for both people that are in this pain cycle. They have an equal opportunity to stop the pain cycle. It also, in working with couples, it also sort of assigns equal blame. You know how in couples come, there's always a little bit of generally one partner is more bent on making sure that the therapist says it's the other person's fault, you know?
Yes.
And so RT just sort of equalizes all of that. It's like, okay, equal opportunity to share the responsibility and equal opportunity to stop that cycle anytime. So I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think those are great observations there of it. Equal opportunity. You both suck. That's what Mike Bishop would say.
Mike Bishop would say that? Yeah. He probably has a sign up in his office that says that. Oh, you know, Migum, I've heard you talk about things over the last couple of years that you're really passionate about, and one of the things that I've picked up on, and we can talk about this if you want, but like it seems like intergenerational issues, especially between like in the Asian culture, I don't know, like between like first gen, second gen, or different things, is like something that you're really passionate about and gifted at. Am I correct there? I feel like that comes alive when I hear you talk.
Yeah, I love working with that. I mean, so even though I'm living in Vegas, I'm licensed in California and Nevada, and my clients that are coming from both, they tend to be Asian. I think there's the affinity, the understanding of the culture, So with my caseload, I think I have like 95% clients, Asian clients. So working with the Asian community, and within that, even primarily the Korean community, there are very specific cultural understandings that are super helpful in working with our Asian clients. And one of them is that first gen, second gen dynamic. And so what we're talking about there is that the first gen, when we refer to that, primarily in the Korean culture, but also in a lot of the other Asian cultures, first gen is referring to the first generation of folks that actually immigrated over to the States. And so for those first gen folks, their primary culture is actually from another country outside the US. Now, second gen, what we're referring to are the folks who were born here. So when we're talking about cultural conflict, right, a lot of that comes from the fact that, let's say, my parents, for example, grew up in Korea, and they have all of the traditional Korean cultural values. They're steeped in that. They bring that over, and then, although I was born in Korea, I'm still gonna. I call myself a 1.5er, right? So what that means is
no queen stories out there.
Exactly. So it's a thing for Korean culture. So I'm a 1.5er. To be super technical, I'm a 1.75er. Oh, wait, 1.25er. And it's because I came when I was 5. And so depending on when you came over, it actually informs a lot of where your cultural mindset is, right? So someone who comes over when they're 5, that experience is very different from if they came over when they were 16, right? Or if they came, in their adult years. And so the cultural conflicts that could arise from having one family that is growing up in several different cultures with different cultural expectations. The younger folks, let's say the second gen, they're probably speaking English and assimilating. And for them, like the assimilation process isn't really called assimilation because they're American, they're growing up in American culture, they're breathing and eating all of everything that's around them. Whereas the first gen, they're still coming in with a different mindset. So it gets very interesting within the couples and the families that I work with because of those dynamics. Everything from in-law conflict to how come I can't go to that sleepover when all my friends are, or prom, or just ideas from the culture that inform that whole experience. Yeah.
I was wondering, like, through RT, and Terry comes from this intergenerational model. Were there things that you picked up in RT or in Terry that made it, I guess, more appealing to the work that you wanted to do in terms of intergenerational stuff, intercultural stuff?
That's a great question. I look back at Terry's model of forgiveness when he talks about. Let me see if I have this straight. It's insight, understanding. Um,
Opportunities for
third one,
compensation.
opportunities, and then overt forgiveness, right?
Yep.
So those 4 steps, that resonates so much within sort of like the Korean Christian cultural context, meaning that the way that, like, especially perhaps Korean church, the way that they, or maybe church in general, is, they really focus on that overt forgiveness portion, right? If you're a Christian, you should forgive, and this is what forgiveness looks like. But the first 2 stations of forgiveness, I think this is where there has been so much healing and forgiveness and freedom that comes because there are times when you still have to maintain boundaries. And boundaries within, I think, Korean culture, Asian culture looks different. But I think that's the ways that the stations of forgiveness really just opened up more freedom, more opportunities for healing. It just created so many more opportunities for us to feel peace, to really feel the experience of forgiveness without having to do overt forgiveness, because you can't. You're in situations where you really can't do that overt forgiveness. So whereas before they would feel very guilty and stuck, that now is gone. And so that's been amazing to be able to use that within the intergenerational dynamics.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at the RT model, like, the Families and Forgiveness is such a great book. Forgiving the Devil is kind of like your what's the word, layman's kind of journey through forgiveness. And I find that the insight elements, where it's all about your internal work, about how you're working through your own stuff, that was so liberating for me too. I just find it to be just the moment I was able to not focus in on the dynamics between, but like what's going on inside of me and how it affects everyone else around me, and stopping the cycle and like operating out of compassion, it just changed my whole dynamic. So yeah, I think, that station of insight, where you ask that big question, because I've been hurt, how in turn am I hurting other people? Dang, that's hard to look at. And then the station of understanding. I still remember Terry saying, like, where he's like, hey, had I gone through what you've been through, I don't think I would have done any better. And I think that broke me. I think that really broke me when I started looking at things from that perspective. It's so hard, but slowing it down and being like, oh, okay. Like, for me to be made well and to love and actually be the human that God's calling me to be, I actually have to recognize the humanness in other people. Yeah. So I'm with you.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And we use a lot of that in the pain cycle too, right? Like being able to put ourselves in the other person's shoes. And that's really where we gain a lot of empathy, understanding.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that model really captivated me years ago. I think I was introduced to it at the Hideaway experience. Someone had pulled out the model, the insight, understanding, opportunities for compensation, overt forgiveness. I've never forgotten that. I use that a lot in my work. It's such a good, it's just, yeah, such a good framework in helping people navigate and putting language to things that are really hard to put language to.
Yeah. I think good.
No, I have another question too, because I'm curious. You know, it's been a while since I was at Fuller. The last time I was there, I graduated in 2007, and I don't have exact statistics on me, but there was this significant population of people from Korea, um, both in the School of Theology and World Missions at the time, and the School of Psychology specifically. I think I would say 60% of my class MFT was probably from Korea, and so I was wondering about just the culture in terms of the acceptance of like therapy and therapeutic work and doing that type of, because we have conversations on this podcast where people will talk in certain cultures going to see a therapist is not, it's not looked upon as something you do. And so I'm just curious, and I don't want to stereotype a culture, but I'm just curious in terms of the Korean culture, if getting help, going to see a therapist is generally looked upon as something that one does.
Does
that make sense?
Yeah, no. It's a complicated, it's a complicated dynamic, and part of that is that. Oh, how do I want to say this? So in Korea, I think the advancement of mental health has actually gone much faster than the Koreans who have immigrated here in the States. So that's a very broad term that I just I just said out loud. And here's why: is because when we look at the effects of immigration on a family, on a social group, they come over, and what happens is they have. So, for example, my parents, they immigrated when in 1978. So when they immigrated in 1978, everything sort of froze for them. They now entered into this like time capsule in a sense. And so all the cultural or ideas about the social dynamics, all their values, all their beliefs, it's sort of like frozen time. And I think because of the hardships that they face when they are immigrating, I think what happens is that they hold on to what they know and what they believe, their cultural identity, their cultural thoughts, their values. They hold on to those probably a little bit more, right? So so what starts setting in is some levels of rigidity. Because this is what they know. This is what is safe. Within anxiety, right? It makes sense, right? Like if you're feeling very, very anxious, you're going to enter into a world of either control or escape. And so this is their way of reacting to the anxiety, which is to control and to hold on tighter to what you know, your values. And so in a sense, they become more strict in their ideas. That's a very long way of saying in 1978, there was a huge stigma. There was probably very little information actually on mental health or accessing mental health. And so that's sort of the mindset that they all come over here with. And so there's less change, there's less room for change. So the folks here, and I'm part of this other nonprofit that is really working on breaking down the mental health barriers, the stigma within specifically Korean churches. And that, just the Korean church community population, because we are working on the assumption that when they immigrated, they all sort of came and then everything froze. And so there isn't this, whereas in Korea, things continue to evolve and change, and they're not talking about a change because nothing has, they're not dealing with any sort of like immigration issues, those anxieties that come from immigration. And so in Korea, things just continue to develop and develop. And so there is a huge, I think, a much broader openness to mental health, accessing mental health. It's very common. One of the things that's fascinating is in Korean dramas, it is prevalent. Like you will see people talking about going to therapy or accessing therapy or themes about mental health, specific mental health illnesses. It is very common to see those. It's common to talk about it. So Korean has definitely evolved at a much faster pace than the Korean community here, largely due to immigration. Yeah.
So fascinating.
I know. I was taking a bunch of notes because you're talking about anxiety too, and like which something Lance and I talk a lot about, or RT does, and just how the culture, like, it just makes so much sense,
Yeah.
to want to move towards control, and stuff when you're in an environment that is foreign,
There's a resistance to change. You hold tighter to what you already know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's just so wild. Like, you leave this place, this land that you're familiar with, and you go into this new foreign land. You're trying to find yourself there, holding on to your principles that you were so familiar with. But and this land that you're in is growing and doing its thing, but you're kind of like, well, that's not the way we do it. But meanwhile, the way that it used to happen is actually being expanded, like, and growing. But you're kind of stuck in this weird, like, limbo land of like, it's like going back to your old I grew up in Virginia, like Yorktown, Virginia. Like I go back there now and I'm like, they changed everything. What happened? And that's like such a light response compared to that y'all's experience. It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's interesting too, because I was thinking the light bulb went on in my head about all the clients that I work with that love to watch I guess you call them K dramas essentially.
Yeah.
And these are mostly Caucasian clients that I'm referring to, how they love these K dramas. And a part of me was thinking maybe there's something in watching another culture doing emotional work that is like really empowering to see when maybe your own culture doesn't do that, but I was like, maybe this is why some of my clients are really drawn to those K dramas, because they come in my office and talk about it a lot. And they're always recommending different ones that I should watch.
What are the top ones?
Yeah, so I was going to say, if there's one K-drama you're going to watch, I would say you need to watch, there's one called Tangerines. So it's called When Life Gives You Tangerines. I think that's the title of it.
Okay.
It's on Netflix, and it is amazing. If you're just going to watch one, I would say that one, and be prepared to have a box of Kleenex next to you. It's a multi-generational story, and it really it incorporates. There's a historical context to it, so you'll see that, and you'll see how that sort of affects culture and family dynamics. You'll see the tension between all the different generations. It is so beautiful, and there are a lot of moments of boundaries and boundary setting. There are themes of honor and respect and healing and what healing actually looks like. It is so beautiful.
I'm sold.
Yeah, I'm gonna go home and watch.
One of these days we're gonna get RT in the Wild up and going, and I think when Life Gives You Tangerines is definitely going to be on the menu, and I think Migum's going to be the guest that day. That sounds awesome.
Excellent. I mean, I have had so many of my clients bring it up in therapy, like, oh my gosh, when this happened, and they're convincing other people to watch it. It really swept. I think now I can even say that it was like a global thing. Like it really swept all of Korea, all of the U.S., and probably all over the world too. Just a really beautiful story.
I'm excited about this. Cool.
Yeah, that's I don't know if you knew Migum, but one of our RT colleagues, Justin Little, wants to start a podcast called RT in the Wild, which looks at like movies and TV shows and music, and where you see like RT and pain and peace cycles showing up like in entertainment type stuff.
Yeah.
We're like, that's a great idea.
And K-dramas are full of them, full of wonderful examples of pain and peace cycles.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. Lance, I think we should shift, because one of the reasons, not one of the only reason, but one of the things that we've been discussing behind the scenes with Migum is she's got some interventions, which we love interventions, that we're all learning new interventions. And we want to give time for her to share these interventions and for us to practice them. Does that sound good? Can we shift that direction?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
And Migum wanted to do therapy on one of us, so
Who needs it more? That's the question. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, wow. Sure.
So this first intervention, I don't even know what to call it yet. I've been calling it the I feel versus I am intervention, or sometimes I'll call it the transition activity. So you guys can help me find a name for it. But here's a way that I use it. Is I use it after the client has finished the pain cycle, and we're now transitioning into the peace cycle. I do this little intervention, right? So that's why I was thinking transition activity, but basically it's the I feel versus I am. So here's what I do. So I will, you guys will be my clients, and we'll do a little, we'll do it. We'll just do the demonstration, right?
Yeah.
So, Rhett, Lance, I want you to just think of recent times when you have felt incompetent, right? So, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to sort of tap into that feeling of being incompetent. So like, maybe it was some balls that you dropped, some mistakes that you made, you forgot to return a call, you forgot to do a task item, you missed a deadline, and just sort of, let those memories come into your mind and just feel that feeling. Just connect with that feeling. I feel incompetent. And then when you're ready, say out loud, I feel incompetent.
I feel incompetent.
Yeah. And we're just going to spend a few more minutes just really accessing that feeling. So maybe there's one particular memory that really sits with you, that resonates with that feeling. Or maybe you want to draw on a few more, ways that you felt that feeling. And let's just really connect with that feeling again. I feel incompetent. And say it aloud when you're ready.
Yeah, I feel incompetent right now.
I feel incompetent.
And one last time. I feel incompetent.
Man, this is vicious.
I feel incompetent.
I feel incompetent.
And now say, I am incompetent.
I am incompetent.
I am incompetent.
Okay. Now, tell me what happened. What was that experience like when I had you say, I am incompetent? Right? You want to start first?
Well, I mean, I paused because I don't believe that to be true. So, like, I can get behind the idea that I feel incompetent at times, but as an RT therapist, like, I know that my truth is not that I am incompetent, like, as a person, as a human. That's not
Yes.
my identity. So it kind of I didn't
Yes.
want to say it really.
Yes. Yes. So you said it only because Migum asked you to. Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
But there was something in your brain that sort of pushed back and said, nope, that's not true. Lance, what about you? Did you feel that too?
Well, mine was, I was like going back to this moment yesterday surfing, which some days I am incompetent surfer. So I could hold that moment with my surf ability, but it was hard for me to like put that on the global scale. Yeah, we had some we had some surfer talk yesterday. That's what my buddy said. We having some surfer talk right now?
So I think it's quite common when I lead other folks through this exercise that you would feel this sort of pushback. So we can all resonate with this feeling of feeling incompetent, right? We are humans. We make mistakes. Yeah. And then I think too, like, as human beings, the feelings that we feel are part of us being human beings. We don't, we can't, we feel them because we are human beings. We're not calling on them. They just happen. These feelings just happen, right? And so when we feel incompetent, yeah, you can resonate with that. The moment you say, I am incompetent, Rhett, like you said, it is now an identity state. And what I would say is the healthy brain should push back on that, should kick back. Why? Because immediately you're like, wait, I'm not incompetent. I am. So, Rhett, Lance, what are you? I am what? What's your brain saying?
I'm on the journey. Getting better.
Yeah.
I would just say I'm, I always go to like, I'm adequate. I'm more than adequate. I'm more than competent.
Yes. Yes. And you're smart and resourceful and successful, and you're resilient. And I mean, there are all these truths that you are saying because your brain said, nope, that's not true. Now,
feels better.
If you were to look at your pain cycle, I feel unheard. I am unheard. I feel disrespected. I am disrespected. I feel misunderstood. I am misunderstood. When you look at your pain cycle, you may not feel a kickback from your brain. They may feel almost indistinguishable. And that is because we have had so many experiences that have created all of these feelings that are already on our pain cycle. We resonate so much with them. And because we resonate so much with them, we have started, probably without our knowing, we've started weaving those into our identity. And that is why you can't really feel the difference between I feel something versus I am something. It's because we've made it part of our pain cycle.
Yeah.
So now what we're going to do is we are going to recapture and reclaim the truths. So as we transition into the peace cycle, we are now going to identify truths that we want to hold on to, right? So that our brain will also feel similarly, that there will be this kickback, that now every time there's the pain cycle, the feelings come up, we will say, nope, that's not true. We're reclaiming our truths. And that is how, so that's actually how I transition them into the pain cycle. Here's what that pain cycle looks like. Here's why we are doing the truths. And then when they've experienced this and they experience the healthy brain sort of kicking back and pushing back, then as we start testing it and practicing the 4 steps, they know what they want. Like, they can now understand what the goal is. They want to get to a place where they can feel that difference again. So I love that, because it sort of like prepares the path for going into the peace cycle. It gives like a very concrete purpose to the peace cycle, but it's also an experiential thing, and it hardly takes any minutes.
Well, because like I know Lance and I have worked on our pain and peace cycle a lot over the years, right? So I can feel that immediate like pushback. Do you notice that with clients who maybe are new to the pain and peace cycle? It's new to them, that there's like an innate pushback against like, no, that's not who I am? Or do you introduce this later on? You know what I'm saying? After you kind of
No, so I literally use it prior to doing the peace cycle. So these folks are not familiar with their truths, right? Yeah. And here's why I've specifically used Incompetent. Is because I have found, I've tried others over the years. I've tried other words, for this example, but I have found that everyone can connect with the feeling of being incompetent. Again, we're human, we make mistakes. So that's an easy one to connect to.
Yeah.
And then, like, I would say, I don't have any hard data, but I would say like 90% of my clients, they're like, wait, Migum, that's not true. Why? Because they have enough lived experience to say that they're not incompetent. So this one works simply because, now I will say, for that smaller percentage of the population where they're like, oh, I don't feel a difference, right? Then that gives you information that their levels of insecurities or sense of self is significantly damaged, right? And so it shows you sort of where that starting place is. And then I normalize it and I say, yeah, that's okay if you didn't feel a difference. That just means that that has been woven into your identity, probably at a very young age. And so then we unpack that and we do some inner child work, some reparenting work. Yeah. But for the most part, people will have a healthy pushback, even if it's slight. They can feel that difference. They're like, oh, I don't want to say that. That's not true.
It's like a good intervention at the beginning of the work. It sounds like, almost just to like identify, like you said, a person's where they are in terms of their sense of self. And then the beauty of it is, well, if they do, whether they recognize it or not, then pain and peace cycle obviously lays out a pathway for them to practice to move into that strong sense of self-identity.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm going to try that out this week.
Yeah, I feel like it also unlocks agency for clients. Like there is a sense for like, and I think that's one of the big things with, as we move to the peace cycle, that we have to do is like finding that agency. And like I was working hard, like I hated saying I'm incompetent, but then I was able to I was only able to put in that one frame of where I was like, okay, I can say it here. So that was the only way I could do it.
That's the thing that's wild, is like, we're all therapists. We know she's trying something out on us. So we're kind of like in our heads thinking about it. And yet it still caught me off guard. Like, I was like, no, like, that's not,
dare you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a name for that, or you call it something, or?
I think I'm just calling it like the I feel versus I am exercise. That's sort of what I've been saying it. Or the I feel incompetent exercise, because I think it's specifically that word or that feeling that I use the most. I found that like other words and feelings don't quite work as well. Or even the transaction activity. But yeah, I feel incompetent exercise.
We'll refer to it as the Migum intervention number 1. The tangerine intervention. Back to the K
Life gives you tangerines.
That's right. That's right. All right, yeah. I love that.
Awesome. Good. Yeah, and again, I think it's just sort of like it's like priming the pump for going into from the pain cycle into the peace cycle. I think that's where it's really effective.
It's good. All right, and we know like there's another one that you've been sharing that we've been reading.
This other one. I love this other one. I hope everyone else will love it as well. So I'm calling it the Quicksand Analogy, right? And I started, I think what I do just naturally is I think my creative brain sort of takes over. And when my clients feel a little stuck, I'll just think of something to help them get unstuck, right? In terms of using RT. And this one I just kept coming back to because it really started resonating with clients. And so I've been doing it for like years now. I just haven't shared it with anyone. So I thought, this would be a great place to share it. I'm calling it the Quicksand Analogy. And here's what's really helpful. I have found so many clients saying, okay, I get the pain cycle and peace cycle. I get the 4 steps, right? And then they'll say, but we tried using the 4 steps and it didn't work. I don't know if you hear that with your clients too.
Oh,
yeah. No.
I think our clients know each other.
Okay. So they just say like, I used it. I went through my 4 steps, but it didn't work. And I was like, okay, well, first of all, it works, but for me to like, I just needed something to help them really experience the power of the 4 steps. And I felt like they weren't using it well. So I came up with this quicksand analogy, right? So here's how it works. I'll just pretend like one of you, who wants to be my client?
I think
I'll do it. I feel like we've been working in Rhett for a while.
Okay.
Rhett's had a lot of therapy on here.
You will be my client. So as the client, you already know your pain cycle and your peace cycle. It's the difficulty of using
I know like my left and my right hand.
The 4 steps. Excellent. Yeah. So it's using the 4 steps. So what I'll say is, hey, Lance, okay, here's how you use the 4 steps. When you feel that moment of pain, right? And so can you recall you don't have to go into the details, recall a recent incident where you felt like, I felt that pain and this is when I want to start using my 4 steps. Do you have that?
Yeah.
Do you have that memory? Okay,
right there.
Great. So we'll use that. Lance, when you feel that moment of pain, what is that pain? Just 1 or 2 feelings.
Yeah, out of control and failure.
Okay. I feel out of control. I feel like a failure. And those are your pain words. So step 1, you name the feelings. Out of control, failure. Lance, you have just stepped into quicksand. You've just
tell me about
quicksand.
It. I am stuck.
What do you know about quicksand?
I can't get out.
I know that I know clearly none of us have actually experienced it, but what we know about quicksand, what do you know about quicksand?
Well, I was part of the population that was deeply traumatized by the Neverending Story and Artax. The swamps of sorrow. Yes. I guess it's swamp more than quicksand, but like quicksand, the more you resist it, the more it sucks you in.
So
you need a rope.
It. That's it. So with quicksand, the moment you experience your pain, Lance, you have stepped in to quicksand. And one of the things that we know about quicksand is don't move. Don't move. So movement is actually the copings. Because the more you cope, where do you find yourselves? Right back into further pain, right?
Oh, totally.
So right there, you're already telling your brain, don't move, stop, don't do the coping. So you stepped into quicksand and you immediately tell yourself, don't move, and you say step 2. Hopefully you haven't done step 2, right? But you say step 2. So go ahead.
Yesterday I did step 2.
That's okay. So yesterday you did step 2. What did you do to cope?
I got angry and then I started to perform.
Okay, you got angry, you started to perform, and you made more movement, and you probably felt more pain. So right there,
really
you're telling yourself, okay, I stepped into quicksand. I don't want to move. You've said, right? You've said step 2. Now you want to move into step 3. Lance, what are your truths?
I think the big one is, God is in control. For me, I think that's been really helpful. And then when I feel like a failure, just knowing that I'm still called has been pretty revolutionary for me.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
God is
it
in
ain't over yet.
Yeah, God is in control and I'm still called. Now, those are your ropes. So while you are in quicksand, those ropes will appear, but they're not magic ropes in the sense that you hold on to them and they will magically pull you out. Actually, they're ropes, but you have to pull yourself out by using the ropes, which means you really have to lean into the truths. So in that moment when you're in quicksand, you want to hold on to that rope and say, God, you're in control and you're pulling yourself out. Yeah, by saying, God, you are in control. And I'm still what? I'm still
called. I'm still called.
Still called.
I am.
I'm still called.
God is in
And
control.
You lean into them and you're pulling yourself out. And while you're doing that, you may find yourself wanting to call on other ropes in that moment. Perhaps ropes that are specific to your situation in that moment. And so you start, accessing other ropes and you pull yourself out completely. And you find yourself on solid ground again. Okay, now you've done step 3. And then when you're on solid ground, that's when you can move into step 4. And what's step 4, Lance?
Say what you can do differently.
Great. Yeah. So when you're able to do that, now because you're on solid ground, you're actually able to take the action because you have spent all this effort leaning into your truths, and now you're on solid ground. So many of my clients will just sort of speak the truths very quickly. And it almost as if like they're supposed to do some magic, but they don't. And then they move on to step 4 and they try to do the action. But the thing is, when they try to do the action and they haven't adequately done the step 3, they're still in quicksand. And so that action will actually take on a different form of coping in a sense. They're still in quicksand. Totally. It still feels like movement. And so then it doesn't work. Now they're activated in a different way in their pain because it's not working. They're still in quicksand. But I have, but once you're like able to get on solid ground, the actions just come so easily, because they've done all that work to get out of that quicksand. So that's the quicksand analogy.
I like it. Yeah. It was helpful. So literally yesterday, I'll tell you what happened and then why this would have been really helpful had I thought about it. I was so locked. Like I got into this conversation with this guy out surfing and I was very much locked in my pain cycle. because he was making beef with my bro, got to protect. But like it ruined my whole surf experience, right? And I tried to perform my way out of it, like I do, put on my smile. What's your name, man? Let's be friends. But like it was so inauthentic. It wasn't until I got to solid ground, which is the funny part with this, where I was like, oh, Lance. And I had a few good surf waves that reminded me that I'm still called and God's in control. But like I saw the guy at the showers on the way out, and I walked up to him. I was like, "Hey, man, like I wasn't trying to get beef with you. Like I just wanted to make peace. Like much love, bro." And like he was so easy to talk to at that point, but I was so amped up beforehand that it messed me up. So, anyways, that was so helpful, and I was beating myself up because I didn't use my ropes sooner. But like if I had the thought of like stop going in the quicksand and stop moving and thinking about grabbing those vines, it probably made a big difference.
Oh, that's excellent. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, that's the thing with. I'm sorry.
It'd be cool to have like actual quicksand in our office.
Yeah.
And like a rope.
Here's what it feels like. We're really taking experiential to another level.
Yeah.
This is good.
But I mean, I wish I could, because that's actually really what would be helpful. I think this is where, once I share this quicksand analogy, it's like the clients now actually, they get it. They're like, oh, I have to really use these truths. And I will tell them there will be times, I think for a lot of folks, like they may say that they have a truth and they'll reach for it and it just doesn't work. Right. And so I'll tell them, hey, it just means it's still a truth. It just means it's not going to work right now in this moment, in this scenario. Oh. So find other truths. You may find truths that aren't even on your peace cycle. That's okay. Just find truths that will hold you, and you can really lean into it to get yourself out. And I think that's where, like, there are times when clients will come back and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I used this other truth. It wasn't even on my pain cycle, but I just used it in the moment. And then we'll add it in. So I think this is where, like, my clients are really able to make that shift, really using the 4 steps. Yeah, I love it. There's the other thing that's sort of built into the quicksand analogy that, Lance, you're sort of identifying, is that the brain really does, because of this analogy, the brain really does encourage you to stop. I think previous to the quicksand analogy, I would say things like, oh, pretend that like there's a do not enter sign. You don't just stop. You don't want to enter down this path, right? I'll say that. But with the quicksand analogy, that is already there. They're already saying, oh, I have to stop. I can't move. I don't want to fall deeper into this. And so that stop mechanism is actually like almost automatic now.
So good.
Hey, Lance, you can bolt off and I'll close up the episode with Migum if you want. I know you got a hard stop to go.
So yeah, guys.
People know. And I'm going to finish up here.
I have to go. I have to go back to this idea that God's still in control, that I'm called. And like,
you got to go. You got work to do.
Yeah. I got to help these stuck clients break out of their quicksand.
All right.
Migum, you're the best. Much love. We'll get you back on, and we'll talk through our experiences. Cheers.
See you, Lance.
Bye, Lance.
It's apropos because we started the episode without you because you fell off, and now we gotta. we'll kick Lance off here at the end. You know what's funny, Migum? I was like on Instagram this week, and I don't know. I follow this like, I was a kid of the '80s. I was born in the '70s, but kid of the '80s, and they had this. I follow this '80s kind of like meme page, and it was about if you grew up in the '80s, everyone had a fear of dying in quicksand because it was like on the Smurfs, it was on Gilligan's
Island. It was everywhere.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders, yeah.
Every show there was quicksand in it, and that was one of the greatest fear. So like when you were talking about it too, like for me, and I'm sure a lot of clients, it brings up a real like a good memory, like oh yeah, quicksand, and like all these pictures of what it's like to be stuck in quicksand. And I was also wondering, because Dee Dee Meyer a couple episodes ago, she has a rope in her office that she uses for a different exercise, to help couples like drop the rope when they're like working on the us. And I was thinking you could have like, I don't know if you do, but I was just thinking in my own office, I was like, you could have different things you could use to kind of bring that intervention into the room, having someone hold on a rope, maybe having them stand in a hula hoop. That's like the quicksand.
Yeah.
I really like that. It's a good,
make it more experiential. I love that.
Yeah.
If we can't have a box of quicksand in our office,
no, not here. It's like, I guess we could take people out into the wilderness. We'll do some, what do you call that therapy? Some kind of exposure therapy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, that's really helpful. I appreciate, one of the things I love about this community is how everyone is being creative with RT and the 4 steps and doing what they can in the room to empower clients for change. And, I really, when you emailed Lance and I a couple of weeks ago about this intervention, specifically the quicksand, I saw that and I smiled, because it's cool to see people just trying stuff out. Because for me, like that incompetency, the first thing I thought of is how many times as a therapist I'm in the room and I see myself, I should do an intervention, but I don't. Out of fear of like it not going well or something. And then they leave that day and I'm like, man, I was feeling really incompetent, as a therapist that day, around intervention specifically.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's a whole therapy session probably.
Yeah, I think this is where, like, at least for my clients, this is where I feel like they really turn the corner. I mean, because and we hear Terry saying that too. I mean, the pain cycle, gives insight. The peace cycle is they're the truths that ground us. But actually, the real hard work of RT is in the 4 steps. Yeah. And so when I hear Terry saying that, and then I keep encouraging my clients to do the 4 steps. And when they come back and they're like so discouraged because they keep saying, I tried it, it's not working. That's discouraging for all of us all around. Mm-hmm. And so that's when I started using this quicksand, and it works. It turns them around. It makes the 4 steps real and accessible. Mm-hmm. So I hope folks will, give it a try.
Yeah, I did a couple years training in psychodrama, and we'd use a lot of props and different things. And I was just thinking about the quicksand. Yeah, there's a lot of tools, and even if you don't have stuff in your office, just getting people up and imagining they're standing in quicksand and stuff is like a really powerful part of the intervention, I would imagine. If people wanted to connect with you, what's the best way to get a hold of you? Is it going to your website and just contacting you? What do you recommend?
Or the website or my email. I think I'm the only Migum out there, so if you just Google Migum, you'd be able to find me somewhere.
Yeah, and I'll
my website.
I'll put in the show notes. I'll put your website and other information about you, and list the 2 interventions and stuff too. And I think this will be really good. I know people, every time that someone talks about interventions, people usually have questions about it and want to try it out and everything. Mm-hmm. But hey, we'll wrap up. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and look forward to seeing you in person again here soon. And just thank you for your continued contribution to the RT community, and as Lance said, just the spirit and energy that you bring to it is awesome as well. So thank you very much, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Bye.